welcome. Like probably many of you, I was very excited when I started hearing news about the NEXUS PRO. In 2019, when news started coming out about the Dart Zone Pro, but before too much was known about it, I was actually very excited about it, but only if the price was maybe, I'm kind of cheap, so I was going up to about, say, $60, maybe $80, and when it came out to be $180, and then the Dart Zone Pro 1.1 was $150, I didn't get either of those. Those were just a little bit too expensive for what you got, in my opinion. But the NEXUS PRO in the Adventure Force line and manufactured by Dart Zone is actually precisely what I hoped the Dart Zone Pro would be. So needless to say, I picked one up. I got mine from Walmart.com. At the time of this video, Walmart.com seems to be going kind of in and out of stock, so they may get to a point where you can reliably order it from the website. But unfortunately, this item is also having difficulty with scalpers buying all the stock and then selling them for more online or in person. I think that's too bad. But that's where we are. This is a highly sought after item, and I will do my best to give you my opinion and outlook of the item. So let's get into it. This is also a new, kind of a new camera video setup, so we'll see how well it works. I hope it works well. Here's the box. It's very large. I can't really even, the whole box does not fit in frame, so the whole blaster is not going to fit in frame either. Mine has tape on each side. There's some instructions. Alright, that's gorgeous. That's just beautiful. Here's our blaster. NEXUS PRO. Adventure Force is molded into the plastic, so is NEXUS PRO. So if they, not that this would be insurmountable, but if they later do a release of this exact blaster in the Dart Zone line, they'll have to have a remolding of that. Here's our darts, short darts and full-length darts, and all the accessories. If you're on the internet, which you are given that you are watching this video, you have probably seen much bigger YouTube channels view of this product, and I mean, I sure have. So I already have some idea of what we're getting into. Now there is a little bit of play at the front here. That's been said quite a bit, and my understanding is that's something about being able to accommodate both full and half-length darts. One of the things that a lot of people said about the Dart Zone Pro that they liked is that the main grip had a rubberized coating. This one does not. I imagine that adds, some amount to the cost. The rubberized grip is easily something that I could see them not implementing on a less expensive version of the blaster in order to save costs and come in at that price point that they needed. Now, most of the time, I don't really go for things that have no real function and simply look cool. That's not really what I'm into. I could not tell you the name of most real-world firearms, or if you told me a name, what they look like. So, for the most part, I don't really care too much about stocks and sights and things that do not enhance the real function. However, in this case, given how hard this blaster shoots, sights are actually an advantage in some cases. There is probably a proper way to put on the rear sight, which came separate in the package. This front one was already on, and I'll be honest, that is not... It probably won't flop around unless you push it, but it does move extremely easily. So, I don't know. I'm guessing that this rear one probably says in the directions. It probably doesn't really matter which way you put it on here, this way or this way. But, you'll fold it down when it's not in use anyway, and you'll fold it up, so the same effect is achieved. Oh, I see. It actually has a stop on one end, so you can only put it on one way. Alright, so that goes on there, I guess. It'll probably also go on here. Doesn't click on there, it clicks on here. Interesting. Alright, so that one goes in there. You can lower it down when you're not using it. There is a barrel muzzle. Now, speaking of larger YouTubes, I did watch a video by Wacom S7 who said and showed that you can actually use this muzzle attachment to fire a variety of existing ammo. That's fascinating. You can fire a mega dart out of this. You can fire a rival round or 2 rival rounds. That's amazing. This is interesting that the muzzle has kind of a loose piece here that rotates. Doesn't seem to do anything. Another thing that I read but have not tested yet is that you can use, it might have simply said worker scar barrels can be used. This is a worker rifled barrel. There's no string in here, it's simply molded plastic, but it's in a twist to try and give a dart spin and improve the accuracy. And apparently this can friction fit in here, so I'll be taking a look at that as well. It does friction fit in there. So it will be worthwhile to try to determine long-term, perhaps not for this video, if this actually helps the accuracy of this blaster and how much the feet per second is affected. Apart from those accessories we've already gone over, you have one full-length magazine, you have a full-length to half-length adapter, then you have a half-length magazine. I do not own any Talon by Worker or any Katana by Jet Blaster magazines. I don't have either one. I have to assume this only goes in one way. That would make sense. Right? Yeah, because the nub in the adapter is only on one side. There's a notch only on one side, so that goes in a certain way. Interestingly, it wants to stop. Initially it wanted to stop before it got all the way to the top, but now it's at the top. A lot of people don't use drums. I actually really like them, so I'm going to be testing compatibility with a 35 round Nerf drum, 25 round Nerf drum, as well as your common things like a 18 round stick mag. I actually have a number of Busby 20 round stick mags, and I also have a number of Worker 22 round magazines. My expectation is that all of them will work because this was made with people like me in mind. Now, as I said, I do not own any Talon or Katana magazines. However, what I do have is some 3D printed magazines. So I have a number of, I guess all of these are made by Tantacles or Tentacles or Thantacles. I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically he made a Katana compatible one that he called a Kathana, or I don't know how you pronounce it. He made a Talon specific version that he called Tanlans or something like that, Thanlans. And then additionally he made one that was supposed to be compatible with both types of magwells. And he called that the Thanos. It's supposed to look like Thanos of Marvel Comics, but so that these magazines are all very similar, and what it boils down to is the Katana ones have a certain angle at the back, and the Talon compatible ones have kind of a notch at the front. So we'll be checking that all 3 of these magazines, whether or not they can fit in the half mag adapter that the blaster came with. Additionally, I also have a Jet Blaster Katana magazine, which I know already that the Katana magazines can use. So this is a 3D printed magazine in an official Jet Blasters magazine adapter. So this works, and we'll see if this works in the NEXUS Pro. Alright, this is just the quick magazine compatibility. Worker 22. That's the most important for me for full-length darts, honestly. The fit is perfect. It does not want to fall out on its own, which is good. And it will gravity drop out. It's interesting. I've fired some high-power blasters, and this one doesn't really feel like there's much power behind it. I can see good velocity, and we'll put it on the chronograph later, but it doesn't feel powerful, but I'm sure it would show up as having fair power when you are actually out on the field. We can fire a few darts through our Busby 20. Up. Here's a problem. Busby 20. Interesting. Oh, you know why? Busby 20 magazine has molding on it here. This is actually interfering with the magazine's ability to insert all the way into the NEXUS Pro. So this magazine should go in more, so it can't go in far enough to lock in. Honestly, it looks like I could probably remove a little bit of plastic with a Dremel or some kind of clippers to allow this Busby 20 magazine to work in it, but as it is in stock form, they're not compatible. I'm dead certain that the Nerf 18 round should work fine. Oh, you're kidding. Ha! The 18 round stick mag will not insert. This bump on it is interfering. I did not expect that. I would say that this is, this is probably the most ubiquitous magazine that I see in use in Nerf. Not short dart, obviously, but in just regular Nerf. This is just so common. I can't believe there's too much plastic on the body to allow that. That's crazy. Not compatible out of the box. Let's go with this guy. At first I was going to say my beloved drum magazine does not work, and it finally got in when I pushed it hard enough, but you gotta really mean it. You gotta kind of slam it up rather than just slide it. If you just slide it slowly, it will not lock. You have to push. Once in, it does seem to work okay. It locks. You will have to use the mag release to remove it. It won't just fall. I was worried about it falling out if it didn't lock in very well, but once it was pushed in, it did lock in sufficiently. Here is a look at the Nerf 25 round magazine. That one locked in there beautifully, actually. Interesting that the 35 had trouble. Yeah, that's fine, actually. That one, interesting. That one gravity fell out without me hitting the lever. It's not falling out this time. I don't know. Perhaps I tapped the lever without realizing it. All in all, that magazine compatibility actually surprises me somewhat. I have not wanted to invest in worker short darts. Not that they're terribly expensive, but I already had so many other darts. In a sealed breech or a tight breech, generally you want something where the head of the dart is narrower than the foam of the body. So I had a number of these. I think they're called men gun, where the tip, come on, that's not focusing. That's a bummer. You can probably see that the tip tapers. So I cut a number of these down. These are normally full length, and when I got them, they were far less expensive than workers. So the point I'm thinking of is just to make sure that these darts and this 3D printed magazine, all three of these, are compatible with this adapter. I have read or seen videos that say that official worker talons and official jet katanas are compatible with DartZone's adapter. This is the Thanos mag, which is supposed to be compatible with both jet blasters and worker adapters. It actually fits perfectly in the jet blaster's adapter, but it won't lock in. It will not lock into the DartZone adapter. Thanos, no. Let me take a quick look at the original Katana magazine. Same deal. This is not catching. Interesting. I kind of feel like the problem, this magazine is actually a little bit narrower. Oh, those are actually really close. Interesting that it won't catch. They have catches in the same place. I wonder if it is that the catch on here is too narrow. The catch is probably about half the height of the one in the DartZone magazine. It will not catch as it is. And it doesn't even seem like it particularly wants to catch. And then lastly, we will try the one that is a straight up Talon clone, Thanlin. Oh, that locks in beautifully. Oh, that's very nice. That's perfect. And then, so the other question is, do the things that lock into the Jet Blaster's adapter go in the... Does the Jet Blaster's adapter work in this blaster so that I could just use these other magazines with this? So, there's a little bit of play there. This moves up and down probably about 2 or 3 millimeters. Not ideal. It probably won't matter when you're using it, but let's try it out. So I'll load a few darts, and then we'll see if this magazine, see how it goes. Looks okay. That's pretty nice. I could actually see using a 3D printed magazine, a katana style one, with the Jet Blaster's adapter. One other quick note, if this is something that would interest you, is the Dart Zone half dart magazine actually works with the Jet Blaster's adapter. Good to know. You can actually remove the adapter without priming it back. Can you remove the Dart Zone adapter without priming it back? Yeah, you can. Okay, so you don't have to prime the blaster to remove this mag. How about the Dart Zone mag? You don't have to prime it back. That's pretty cool. I am so used to having to prime a blaster back in order to remove or insert magazine that's really interesting. I don't know if I saw anybody post about that yet. All right, what was one that fit? The worker. That should work with the worker then too, right? The blaster is not primed. Yeah. How about that? Interesting. You can load. Good to know. Alright, so the next logical thing to do would be to run the blaster through the chronograph. Now I know that you can buy the Adventure Force branded Dart Zone made short darts at Walmart now. 100 darts for about $10 plus tax. That's not bad. That's not great. But since I have so many of these, I have hundreds of these men gun darts. So if they work well enough, I will cut more of them down and keep using those. So I'm going to check the chronograph with both types of darts that came with the blaster, and then also with these. I also have a few, I think I have a few worker darts, maybe various other things. I'm also curious if things like cut down AccuFake darts will feed in this rather snug barrel. I love how the darts can be separated from the package. Just, you have to cut some tape, but it's nice. The darts are self-contained. Okay, you probably won't be able to see this. The quick result for checking the velocity of Dart Zone short darts using the Dart Zone magazine. I got an average of 148, the lowest was 138, and I got a max of 152, average of 148 feet per second. That is not focusing. Alright, I'm sorry, that won't focus. I will check more into that, but 148.7 average with Dart Zone darts. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a technical difficulty, and what it boils down to is when I thought I was recording, I actually was not. When I thought I was not recording, I was. So I lost some things, and I kind of forgot what it was that I lost because it's been a few days now. So I tested the blaster with the included Dart Zone made full-length darts. I think that got skipped in the other part. This gave an average of 141.5 feet per second, minimum 135.4, maximum 147.6. That's a pretty tight grouping of speed. It's not quite as good as the half darts were. However, it's still pretty good. I probably would default to using the half darts as long as I have enough magazines to run them. Now, I like to do things inexpensively where applicable. And what I had intended to do was use cut down men gun darts because they have a tapered head, and I would think they would be great in a blaster like this. For whatever reason, these cut down men gun darts are awful. I'm only getting an average, most shots are under 110 feet per second. That is unacceptable. I'm going to keep looking for something that I can do relatively economically. Now I do have a handful of worker darts. I think they're all Gen 1 or Gen 2. They're not Gen 3, I know, because those are kind of a purple. But all the ones that I have are either the yellow or the white darts. These unfortunately fired very poorly in the NEXUS PRO as well. I'm only getting an average of about 104 FPS with this, and the highest one I got with the handful of shots that I tried was 114. So I don't think I'm really going to go with the worker darts either. More than likely, at any event where I can actually use something like the NEXUS PRO, I will probably buy at least one pack of the Adventure Force branded Dart Zone half darts, as long as I can find them in stock. Now, like I say, I unfortunately don't quite remember everything that I had recorded and then lost, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to leave it to, honestly, much more detailed, in-depth YouTubers to give a fuller accounting of the full capabilities of this. There has already been a lot of information that came out, very interesting things about this blaster, such as a video that Qualcomm S7 put out. For example, I don't know that I would have known. It's actually in the directions, but who reads those? There are spare O-rings on the stock. That's pretty great. But there's a lot to know about it. I don't know if this will be a common complaint, but in repeated use of the blaster, I found that this section of the blaster right above where your fingers go, that actually kind of hurts my middle finger a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily a matter of holding the blaster wrong, but perhaps it is. Maybe it's related to hand size, I don't know. That would be my only complaint. Overall, I love this blaster, and I love the price point that it comes in at. So if you have a game that'll support speeds of 150 feet per second for darts, not going to be HVZ, but if you have something, I think this is well worth picking up, as long as you can, because it has been in spotty availability. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please consider subscribing and possibly leaving a comment and a thumbs up like. That'll go far for a small channel such as this. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.